Welcome everyone to Throwback Gaming's Let's Play of Our Life Beginnings and Always, part 26. Last time, excuse me, we finished up step 2 and we started on to step 3. And this is the beginning of step 3, so let's jump in, shall we? The start of class ended the relaxed, free days of summer. It didn't take long for you to get back into the swing of the school year routine. Schedules and homework became the new normal. Derek wasn't around nearly as much. With school and after-school activities, there weren't many opportunities to take him, for him to take the trip out to your neighborhood. Sometimes you hear that he was at a training camp or something like that, but you weren't always sure what he was up to. But you still kept in touch over the phone the best you could, or you kind of lost contact as time went on. Let's keep contact with Derek. He seems cool. The Jeremy kid did disappear after that summer, and no one heard from him again. Where he went, or where he might have ended up to, was a mystery. You saw more of Miranda around since you hung out at her birthday party. She had opened up to you two. The two of you talked regularly. She was the same towards Cove. Alright, so Cove and us made another friend, Miranda. Cool. After a while, the three of you developed a real friendship together. More summers came and went like the waves on the shore coming in and out. In the second year of high school, someone new started visiting Sunset Bird. A sunny girl named Terry Brooke. She was a friend of Cove, made do. Oh, they're both ocean obsessed. Okay. Terry was more than glad to befriend you two. Someone close to Cove had to be good company, she felt. You were pleased to get along with her as well. Alright, so we have two new friends, both girls. That's cool. Funnily enough, Terry was also extremely tight with Miranda, who she had known for even longer than Cove. The four of you were able to create a small friend circle. Well, that's cool. Everybody's friends. As for your home life, the last also had new developments. Changing laws and public perception of Countrywide made it possible for your moms to openly wear their wedding rings without questions. Awesome! Now, they had their wedding years ago. It was only recently that their union was officially recognized everywhere in the United States. It was a good day, to say the least. I would have to agree. Elizabeth came into her own and stopped being quite as irritable. That's surprising. She no longer worried about perceived childlessness as she grew up, for real. She didn't even mind being called Lizzie again, although most people called her Liz. She eventually graduated high school and moved out to attend college in another state. It was a lot for you to adjust to your older sister being gone. Liz never let you forget her role in your life, though, and kept in touch. Well, that's good. She decided to grow up and be mature. Cope's relationship with his family improved over the years. Kyra visited several times after that summer, and things became easier between the two. Well, that's good. He was also closer to his dad than ever before. You knew they talked more, and that helped prevent a lot of friction before it could start. However, Cove still wasn't what anyone would call social. He kept to himself usually. He cared for the few connections he did have, but did not reach outside of them. Cove had shifted from preferring athletics to becoming more seriously studious as his school went on. He went from being athletic to being more serious about his studies. It's interesting. Things had shifted between you and Cove, but in a way that most couldn't see. After all this time, he wasn't just your neighbor, he wasn't just your friend, or even a guy you were interested in. You were in love with him. You loved Cove. You knew for a fact. There was no one else who you had those feelings for. It was strange, looking back on it all. The future faded into the present, and then it was simply the past. Even the most fundamental parts of your life couldn't last forever. You felt that the most pointed the day you inevitably graduated high school. It was over, and you wouldn't be going back ever again. From now on, what came was your choice. You would be directing your own life. Excuse me. That was where you were currently, the summer after school had ended. The first summer of true freedom. Okay, so this is the summer that we graduated high school, I'm guessing. What used to be a reprieve from the typical was now going to be your first step into adulthood. Yeah, this is our first summer after high school. Ooh. Time to see some new artwork. I'm excited. One fine summer morning, you took in what would become a very special scene, the whole family having a meal together. Especially since Elizabeth, or Liz, moved out now, so this is a rare treat. Your big sister Liz, hey, look at her. She looked good. I like her adult sprite. Still hadn't lived at home full time for a couple of years, but she arrived last week to spend the season here since it was an off semester for her. Well, that's cool. She wanted to make sure she was in town because you also now had graduated high school. So who knew how much rarer these moments would become in the future. It's kind of sad when you think about it. You watched her as Liz laughed good-naturedly over a comment Mom made. I wonder what Mom looks like now. Her Elizabeth-only mindset had only been a phase. Nearly any nickname was welcome at this point in her life. Well, that's good. She's more laid back. That's good. Strangely, though, even though she moved away, you lately felt closer to her than you ever been in a long time. Well, when you're not living with someone, sometimes it's easier because you're not always living together, so you don't always... It's easier to not get on people's nerves when you're not around them all the time, you know? You oddly scooped up more of your breakfast and chewed absent-mindedly. You were a vegetarian, you were vegan, you were pescatarian, I don't know what that is. You were polotarian, that's chicken, so maybe you'll eat chicken. You were a picky eater, or you generally ate whatever. We'll just go with the last one. And the meal you had reflected that. It included just about everything your mom's had, even though you made your own food nowadays. Well, that's good. I mean, you are at least 18, probably, since you graduated high school. With Liz around, though, your parents made even more options than usual. Your sister had become vegetarian for a while, and they wanted to make sure she had choices too. Well, that's good. Dang. Your moms look really old. I mean, her eyes look really old, you know? And so do hers. But I mean, they're supposed to be like, probably in their 50s now, so that makes sense. She ain't dyeing her hair no more. But I mean, they don't look bad though. But they do certainly look older. But I mean, they should, because, you know, this is supposed to be cute a few years later. But they still look good. Conversation had gone idly without fully taking in the words until your ears were peeped when Mom started in on a bit of town gossip. Ooh, let's hear what this gossip is about. And so, that's how I heard the news. Alright, stop burying the lead and tell us. What is the so-called news? Mom giggled as she cast a look across the table, satisfied that she had everyone's attention. Well, it turns out that the Donalds won't be renting out the condo up the street, as per Sunset Bird tradition, for the first time in must be nearly 2 decades. Is someone buying it? A chorus of gasps and shocks expressions were all around. After the initial shock, your eyebrows pinched. Mom may consider them by name, but you and Liz always viewed them exclusively as the mean old couple who would yell at anyone under 25 who crossed their paths. Oh, it's these butts. I remember them. They were back in like the first step. We were little bitty and they were mean to us. Your mom continued on with the story, spreading strawberry jam over a piece of toast as she did so. They decided not to take big trips anymore. Friends and family will be visiting them at their home. That's nice for them then. Have a good summer, mean grandparents with no grandkids away from us. That's a relief. It's kind of sad that they can't travel anymore. I hope they're still okay even if they're mean. My thoughts exactly, Liz. Finally, they can piss off. Or you didn't have anything to comment on. My thoughts exactly. Be nice, kids. Hey, they were mean to us for like forever, and they probably still are since we're not 25. You don't want to end up like them, do you? You and your sister crack smiles at the joke. At least they won't be here to yell at the children anymore. Oh, yell at my children anymore. I thought she said that. I was like, oh, she has kids? Lonnie. And that blunt comment got laughter from all 3 of you. Engrossed in conversation once more, you continued to chat with your family until the meal was almost over. Oh, the meal was over. Yeah. Alright, let's see what else is going on. Excuse me. Step 3. Third time's a charm. Ooh. As it went on, the food was eaten, the cleanup had to be done. Liz took the role of washing the dishes and then passing to you to dry and put away. excuse me, you had set cups in front of you that needed to go on the top shelf of the cabinet. It was effortless to do so. You were very tall. The task was pretty straightforward for you. You were tall. You had to stretch, but it was doable. You were average height. It was a struggle to get up without a stepping stool. You were short. A stepping stool was mandatory for you. You were very short. Well, I'm about average, so we'll go with this one. That was simply your lot in life. You always hovered around the expected height for your age. Yep. Nothing wrong with that, though. You felt great about how things were. You hoped you might grow some more. You wish you'd stopped growing earlier. You didn't think much about it, or you didn't even know what to think about it. You didn't think much about it. It is what it is, you know. You can't control how tall you are, you know. That part of yourself was never something you really figured out your thoughts on. Liz took you out of your internal musing by starting up an improv conversation. She seemed to be voicing the thoughts that had been buzzing around in her own head. I have to say, going back for another semester this fall is pretty intimidating. You'd think after the first year or two I'd have a handle on things, but no. I'm surprised she's talking to us, because growing up, she kind of kept her thoughts to herself. So this is nice. Nice change of pace. You stole a glance at her, placing cups in the proper place. I guess it's only fair. My first round was pretty general classes, and the year one of my architecture major was basics. Okay, so she's studying architecture. That's cool. Now it feels serious. I have to actually know some things. Well, that's how it is, you know. You go to college, you start off with the basic classes, and you build yourself up to tougher stuff. Or you have to know the basics in order to be able to apply it. The laugh she gave was flippantly airy. Okay, I'm probably butchered that, I'm sorry, but the way she scrubbed at the plates was more forced than necessary. She's nervous. I know you can handle it. I think it's really cool you want to be an architect. That does sound hard. You simply shrugged, or you merely listened to her venting. Let's encourage her. She can handle it. Oops. How sweet do you believe in me? Thanks. Well, you are her big sister. Your older sister's mouth quirked into a small smile. I like how she's more laid back and chill now that she's older. It'll be fine one way or the other. You'll figure it out, Liz. But I'm not trying to scare you away from college. If that's even your plan, what are you planning on doing anyways? I've had a solid plan set for some time. You came to a firm conclusion recently. You kind of had a general idea. You had absolutely no idea, or you haven't even let yourself think about it. It was too much. General idea. You answered the question as much as you were able to and willing to do. Liz's smile grew more reassuring as you did. You made it through 12 years of full-time education already. You got plenty going for you. That's true. Sometimes it felt hard to believe your public schooling experience was over. In the end, you had graduated at the top of your class. You soared through with high marks. You had worked extremely hard but were rewarded with great grades. Oh, yeah. You've been an average graduate. You struggled to reach benchmarks, but you made it. You didn't try hard, but made it regardless. So go with this one. Oops. Well, there we go. It had been a familiar and fulfilling part of your life, but you're ready to move on. Yep, that's how I feel. In real life. Lizzie picked up on the silent question. She ended up creating. She decided it was time to make a closing statement on the topic. Aw, thank you. You're a good girl. You're a good boy, Jamie. Do what's best for you, and we'll be here to back it up. Thank you. Thanks, you're a good big sister. I like how we're getting along so well. At that, Lizzie happily passed the final dish your way. She waved a soapy, soaked hand as a farewell, and then moved on to her next task for the cleanup job. Well, that was nice. I enjoyed that. You refocused on getting the last pieces put back to where they belonged. You eventually moved on to a new chore, but that was interrupted by the sound of your cell phone. Cove. It was the phone's default ringtone. You had used a silly novelty song as your ringtone. You set one of your most beloved songs to your ringtone, and the phone was set to vibrate. Well, knowing me, it'd probably be on vibrate. You casually picked it up from the table where you had placed it earlier. The phone was a couple years older at this point, having been your 16th birthday from your parents, so it's like 2 or 3 years old. They decided which model to get, but you got to pick the color. It was silver, black, gold, rose gold, red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple, pink, or turquoise. Blue. And it was just a phone, and you didn't do anything to decorate it. You had a special charm attached to it. Nah, it's just a phone. The screen lit up as you gave the little device a swipe with one finger. You were informed by caller ID that it was Lee. Oh, okay, yeah, Lee would have been my second guess if it wasn't Cove. Despite having busier and busier lives, I wonder what she looks like. And not living in the same town. Oh, they don't live here anymore. Oh, that's too bad. You still had a good relationship with your cousin at the same age. Especially once the miracle of you both having your own phones actually happened. She got hers first, though. Tapping on the accept button, you answered her call. A familiar, bubbly voice came through after that. Hey, she looks good. I like how her hair is. Hey, Jamie. Sup? I trust I'm not interrupting anything major. Oh, only cleaning around the house. Oh, then you're welcome for my call. A distraction for what must have been desperately needed. I like her. Yes, thank you, my dear cousin. Hey, I love doing chores, you joked. I like cleaning, you protested earnestly. It's good to hear from you, even though she couldn't see it, you shook your head at that. Let's do this one. It's my pleasure. She giggled and you could hear the jangling of the jewelry she must be wearing. Nothing amazing is happening for me either. I'm bored and felt like chatting. My morning shift just ended, so I'm free for the rest of the day. Woo. Well, good for you. I wonder where she works at. That's good. You were off your part-time job today too, or you hadn't started working yet, so you couldn't relate. Let's go with this one. We're probably working. I mean, if not, we need to start working, you know? Like you, Lee had started dipping her toes into the workforce as of late. It made keeping in touch frequently even more complicated, but you both managed. What about you? It's been pretty normal. Cool. Then that's them. So, how's Mr. Cove Holden doing? There was a teasing bent on her tone. She was never willing to let up on what was going on between the two of you. Yeah, because she knows she wants the scoop, you know? But that name was incredibly familiar to your ears. Cove, your next-door neighbor for the past decade at this point. But he was far more than just someone who lived on the same street. You vividly remembered the summer day you expressed your feelings for each other as little as 13 years old. That is pretty early, let's be honest. You started off officially dating years ago, or you only gotten together recently? Well, let's think about this. We were 13, and now we're 18, I think. We had to be about 18, because we just graduated high school. I'm going to say we started dating years ago. And you were in love with him, but that was one thing you hadn't admitted yet. You were in love with him, but you didn't want to talk about that point. Talk about that at this point in your life. Guess this one. Are you even surviving without the boy being 10 feet away at all times? Or is everything right in the world again and he's back? No, Lee, he isn't here. Just like he wasn't here yesterday or the last time you asked, or the time before that. I wonder where Cove's at. Oh, my bad. Can you blame me? It doesn't seem like he should have made his grand return already. Plus, I want to visit soon, and he needs to be there too. I like her. You could understand where she was coming from. This was certainly outside the norm. For the past couple of months, and the last few weeks especially, Cove had been going to his mom's place in Nevada. Oh, okay. The two of you still regularly stayed in contact over texts and calls, but still. Your mind began to drift back to the time, to all the prior trips he'd taken to visit her. You're probably worried that he's going to move to Nevada, and then you'll never see him again. Almost every year he had gone away for a while, and then he'd be back. It made you sad and lonely when it happened. You never minded it. It was kind of nice to have breaks away from each other. You weren't a fan, but made do. It was just shitty. It's not nice. It upset you. Your younger self worried about him leaving for good. That's what I just said. So we're going with that one. You sent him letters the entire time he was away. Your mom's helped you ship out care packages to him and his mom. You gave him special treasure to take with him before he left. You kept an eye on his house for him while he wasn't there, or you were incapable of doing anything until he got back. Care packages. It was always full of really good stuff. He sent you regular letters in return. Excuse me. That's how it was in the past, but lately he'd been trying to see her as much as he could before taking long trips to another state. Became too impractical to do. His part-time work could become full-time work soon, or he could be moving somewhere else for school. Cove hadn't actually been entirely clear on what his plans were after graduation. Cove was hesitant to speak on that, even with you. It couldn't be avoided forever, though, and you both knew that. Don't sound good. Sounds like he's gonna be moving away. Maybe we should switch this to a non-Cove related topic. That works. The rest of the conversation rolled on. Not much longer, though. Lee had to go, and you need to finish your responsibilities around the house. I like talking to Lee, though. She's cool. Both of you exchanged goodbyes, and then you went back to what you'd been working on before the call came in. She looks tall. As you wrapped up the last of your chores, you were approached by Liz wearing a cheeky smile. I got Mom's keys. You want to get out of this tiny town and do some shopping in a real city? Yeah, it's been way too long since I've gone anywhere exciting. Good, I'm driving. Yay, we get to spend some time with our big sis. That was obvious. You didn't know how to drive. You were glad for that. You still had your learner's permit. Even though you could drive too, it was her plan. She could do what she wanted. It was nice for her to do that. You had a license, but tried to avoid driving when possible. That's me. If someone else is willing to drive, I will let them unless I don't trust them driving. Go get your wallet and anything else. We're going now. With a nod, you made a quick detour to collect your stuff from your bedroom. You had money saved up from all the part-time work you had done, as well as some gifts you'd received. After making sure you both were fully prepared for the long haul to the largest city in the surrounding area, you buckled into the car. It was a smooth ride there, with light conversation about what shops to stop at and the radio blasting. Liz controlled what was played, but she made sure to pick songs she knew you liked. Well, that's nice. It was something the two of you have always done for each other. Aw, that's nice. The trip was a breeze by, and what felt like no time had gone by, from cruising down the road to cruising through the mall. Liz had her interests to check out, and yours too. Your hobbies and skills were still the ones you had developed when you were younger. You had gotten into new things since you'd grown up. More or less the same things. When turning a corner down the length of the mall, your eyes caught on a little gift store. Oh, that sounds cute. Your friends and family had recently given you many presents for graduating high school. You realized you wanted to get a graduation gift yourself to give Cove. You had a gift of your own ready to give Cove when the chance came, or you really appreciate what you got. Let's get him something. Excuse me. Graduation may have come and gone, but Cove wasn't really around then anyways. You kept an eye out for something good, though you might have thought you might have something nice for him at home already. That's a nice background. Excuse me. Eventually the mall was explored in full, with each shop of note being checked out over. Rather than going home, you decided to walk to some smaller stores nearby. Liz had thoughts on that topic. Honestly, malls are not a bastion of society. If even smaller stores require extra distance, the brands are so much more. Then your sister abruptly stopped talking and walking, right in the middle of the path. It was a good thing no one was behind her. She seemed to be entirely shut off for the moment. Liz? The attempt to catch her attention was unsuccessful. Something else had caught all her focus. I wonder who it is. Before you could puzzle out what might be happening, she began to mumble out of the corner of her mouth. Jamie, don't draw attention, but look. What? With a harsh whisper and a subtle jerk of her head, she urged you once more. Look. What are we looking at? Your gaze followed her as best you could to a large bunch of colorful teens strolling down the same path. Okay. Your face turned back to your sister with a confused expression and an unspoken question. What were you supposed to be seeing here? Jamie, doesn't one of them look familiar? She was practically bouncing at this point, so you looked towards the group again. This time you saw what she was seeing. Hey. I wonder who that is, huh? Amongst the collection of strangers was brown hair, gray eyes, and lots of freckles. That's Shiloh, our Shiloh, from when we were kids. Shiloh's cute. Yep, that was definitely him. I can't believe it. He is honestly just there. That's hilarious. That's incredible. I know, what are the chances that we would run into him, the two of us, you know, out shopping when she's in town? Oh, but how do we talk to him? We'd have to pull him away from all those other people, and what if I'm wrong? Your mouth opened to reply, but she cut it off with her own answer for your question. I got it. I'll shout out the name Shiloh, and then we can act like it wasn't us if he responds to that. Oh, and act like it wasn't us. If he responds to that, we'll know without a doubt it's him. Jamie, keep an eye out if he looks. Liz, can't you just try talking to him normally? We're not doing that. It's a terrible plan. Why do I have to be the one who watches? Let's try it. Fine, you didn't even know how to react. Come on, let's try it. Likely without hearing what you had to say, Liz put her plan into action. Shiloh! Dang, she shouted. She loudly projected the word across the way and then put on an act of casualness, turning her head away from the scene while brushing at the skirt of her dress. Oh, that's funny. In a surprisingly awkward moment, you could only stand there as the tension in the area shifted to the two of you, thanks to your sister's shout. But of the many startled bystanders who became alerted to your presence, one of them was the boy. From a distance, his large eyes met yours. He looked. A wide grin took over your sister's face. She pushed the brim of her sun hat up and away from her face while switching back around to greet her old friend directly. Shiloh! Waving, she stepped a bit closer to express her intent to meet, without really closing the gap. She wanted him to come to her. Who you presumed to be Shiloh looked surprised at the call-out. He stole a quick glance at the crowd he was with and hesitantly glanced back at your way. He was trying to double-check something. Liz remained steadfast with her gaze trained on him, and ultimately he broke away from the rest of them. After a light-footed jog across the brick path, the young man pleasantly presented himself in front of you and Liz. Hey, I like your hat. He's blushing again. You're so cute. Just that simple greeting had Liz giggling. Hello, I'm not sure if you remember this, but I'm Lizzie and that's Jamie. We were all friends when we were little kids. His already wide eyes grew even larger, their days guarding between you and Liz. His previously chipper demeanor faded into something delicate. I'm really sorry, but I think you have the wrong person. You could tell not being instantly recognized was going to make this exchange more of a challenge. Still, Liz was undeterred. It was a long time ago. You were really young. I get why you feel like that. However, I'm positive I'm right. They're exactly the same. That face, the freckles, how genuinely you try to phrase things. You're even still wearing that hat. Instinctively, he looked at his hat wear with creased brows, not making the connection on why the hat meant something to her. We knew each other, okay? Say what his mom's name is. Maybe that will tell him. An uneasy smile settled on him as the silence followed Liz's speech. He was picking his next words carefully. And then the quiet was obliterated by a new voice blurting into the conversation. Shiloh, what are you doing? The rest of the group already left. Field trip is not a vacation. We are on schedule. Startled, your head snapped towards the path. A distinctively unhappy individual with piercing magenta eyes, dark brown skin, and a sharp jaw stormed your way. He carried a cloud of authority with him, despite looking like he wasn't even 18 yet. Sorry, I didn't mean to ditch. Shiloh, whose name was now officially confirmed, gestured with a hand to add the explanation of his absence as the stranger watched impatiently. They thought they recognized me as someone they knew, but it was a tiny misunderstanding. Liz theoretically, as well as literally, put her foot down on that, stomping in frustration and getting even more childish the longer she was around her childhood companion. We do know you. Shiloh Mary shrunk in on himself. The tone he spoke was pained. Sorry. You honestly couldn't tell if he was apologizing for the upset feelings of your sister or the palpable dissatisfaction of his new acquaintance. That in itself was very Shiloh-like. Oh, you know him. Is that it? The stranger spoke up in a dismissive, scoffing tone as if the words sounded so absurd to him it was almost amusing. Almost. But the sternness of this demeanor quickly reinstated itself. Well, do you know me? I'll tell you, I'm someone who was forced against his will to be aware of what was going on in Shiloh's ridiculous personal life for a year. If the two of you had any importance in his general day-to-day existence, it would have come up by now. Don't bother trying to exaggerate any trivial connection you might have. It's not good enough. He's with us, and you'll survive without him. Now stop littering in the road. It's rude. Excuse me? We're the rude ones? The high-strung ranting got an audible gasp from Shiloh, who finally started to speak up in his defense. Nate, that's really mean. It's also true. We're leaving. With that declaration, the unofficial introduced Nate indignantly spun on his heels and walked speedily towards the group, where the group went, completely confident that Shiloh would follow behind. Oh, people can have such bad attitudes, huh? Why can't they just try to get along? It's not hard. Don't worry, though. I bet you won't have to deal with him again. And I'm sorry I can't stay to talk to you, but I hope you have a really nice life. Bye. Dang, he just left. And that was it. His final party words given, Shiloh left the two of you behind to catch up with his own life he had let go live. Liz watched his exit, stunned, only to frown when it hit her that he was really gone as quickly as he appeared. It happened so fast she hadn't even been able to get a word in. She sighed, and all the energy she built up released with a breath. I don't know if he actually doesn't remember us, because, I mean, we were little bitty kids, you know? But still, like, it's surprising that he forgot about her since he was, like, all about her when he was little bitty. So, I don't know. I could have told him his last name was Fields. His birthday was October 30th. That would have proven it, too, but no. I'm sorry, Liz. Wow, Shiloh grew up to be dumb. Damn. You were left feeling equally deflated. Whoever Nate is, he sucks. Well, damn. I know, right? You had no other words for what just unfolded. Why aren't you running after him? Liz merely shook her head, pushing off childish thoughts. I think we can leave it at that. There, thanks. He's in the middle of a high school field trip, and it was already enough being able to see him again. There's something reassuring about witnessing firsthand that he's still out there, enjoying his own part of the world. Kind of like a parent leaving their baby to go out into the world. Though, if given the chance, I could definitely have a few words with him about the company he's got. She laughed, but you could tell there wasn't much humor in it. She was mad at the guy, even if she was happy to let Shiloh go. Maybe they're only with each other because of the trip, and it's not technically how things are. True, we can only hope the same for him as he did for us. Have a nice life, Shiloh. Have a nice life. Bye, Shiloh. We'll miss you. Good luck out there. You'll need it, or you didn't say anything. Have a good life. I feel like we're going to run into him again, though. Liz smiled at you. It had the self-confidence you knew so well from her. Come on, little baby bro. Let's finish our own trip. Yeah. No matter how either of you two felt about the occurrence, it was just something you simply had to accept. People you know just disappear and reappear in the most unexpected ways. The two of you enjoyed what remained of your outing until it was time to return home. By the time you arrived back, the sun was already beginning to set. You arched your back as you stretched your arms towards the ceiling. While it had been a good day, it had enough activity to cover an entire week. Liz tried to hide a yawn behind her hands. You weren't the only one feeling worn out. I'll be heading up to your room. I mean, the guest room, since mine stopped being available as soon as I was out the door. Her tone was light. She had quite a lot to say on the subject when you first taken over her bigger room after she left for college, but there have been many trips back home for her since then. The room hadn't been hers for years. It was more of a running joke now that she continued to bring up the topic to this day. That's just, you know, inside jokes. Let it go, Liz. I didn't see your name on it. Thanks, Liz. It's a really nice room. Thanks for being so gracious about giving it up. Just wanted to follow in my big sister's shoes, or I'm sorry. Flattering as a compliment only goes so far, Jamie. A small laugh was shared between the two of you. You better believe that you'll be back in the guest room when you got your own place and we both come to town to visit. We'll take turns. You can have Thanksgiving, I'll get Christmas. Sure. Don't count on it. That's alright with me. I don't need it. Let's tease her. What a reasonable and mature suggestion. I'll think about accepting it. She flashed her own familiar grin. You couldn't help but feel glad she was back around, even if it was temporary. With that, she plodded off to the spare room. You were ready to do the same. Moving into a new space was your first opportunity to decorate from scratch. Design your own room. Ooh. Okay, we get to pick. Blue. What's green look like? Green. Purple. Yellow. Yeah, I think I like the green one. See extras. Okay, that looks good. You were really satisfied with the feel of your tiny part in the world. As your thoughts drifted, you tried to bite down another yawn, but it was no good. Your bed was lodging in your mind, and all you could think about was collapsing in it. Excuse me. You trudged upstairs to your room. And stepping inside, you closed the door behind you, blocking the rest of the house. When you turned around, you realized you were not alone there. Comfortably perched on the windowsill was someone very familiar to you. Cove? Hey, it's Cove. Cove Holton. The shock knocked all the words out of you. What the hell? Huh? How are you here? I know, this dude just showed up out of nowhere. Surprise! His tone was easy and relaxed. It was certainly a surprise. You hadn't expected him to be within the state, never mind your own house. He hadn't answered how he had suddenly appeared back in Sunsetburg. Though to be fair, you had been too astonished to actually ask the question. Thankfully, Cove took the hint from your stunned expression and began to explain. I got in about 15 minutes ago. No one was home, so I figured I'd come in the usual way. The window. A small smile had formed on his face. You were still staring at him, unable to blink in case he had disappeared. You could barely believe that he was really there, mere feet away from you. I left my bags in your yard. Hope that's alright. That was when you truly understood. Cove would come straight to you upon getting home. You were his first port of call, taking precedence above all. Oh, it's so sweet. Even though you hadn't been in when he called, Cove had ensured that he'd see you at the earliest opportunity rather than allowing his plans to change. That's so sweet. You laughed. The realization made you bashful. You shook your head at his antics. You stayed frozen, the shock you had to melt away. You walked over to join him, or you ran to Cove. We ran. Every second away from him was a moment too long. True story. As you approached, Cove quickly hopped from the windowsill to meet you. You're so crazy. I'm so glad you're here. I missed you. Trouble's back in town. I can't believe my eyes. He's the most amazing man in the world. He didn't need to say anything. I missed you. Me in real life. You ruffled his hair. You wrapped him in a gentle embrace. You pushed him into a bone-crushing hug. You jumped into his arms. You smiled at him, or you kissed him. Ah. He instinctively began to close his eyes as your face leaned in close to him. You did it on the forehead, you kissed him on the nose, you kissed him on the cheeks, you kissed him on the lips. Aw, that's cute. He met you part ways and the both of you shared a gentle greeting kiss. Then you stepped back a bit. Aw, he's still cute. Cove rubbed the side of his head and furtively glanced down. Though he couldn't help but getting a little nervous still, he was beaming. I missed you too. Even if he hadn't said it outright, you would have gotten the message from his body language. Cove was grinning wildly, his raised cheeks spearing his eyes, which gleamed like hidden gems. But he looked at you as if you were the most exciting treasure of all. Oh, it's super sweet. Obviously, how was the trip? Cove's brow creased as he considered your question. Bad news. He leaned in and kissed you again. It's bad news. He's trying to stall. After a moment, he broke the kiss and tilted his head back just enough to speak, but not so much that your forehead stopped touching. I hated it. Let's never be apart again, okay? Oh, that's so sweet. Oh. He said that absolutely as a joke, an exaggeration, something that wasn't a real request, of course, yet despite all that, it felt real. Your heart hammered into your chest. Your head swam, cast adrift on a tide of thoughts and adrenaline. Cove smiled as if offering a silent apology for his sudden onslaught of tenderness, but he let the words proudly hang in the air all the same. Cove told you about how his trip back had gone. Soon you'd even recovered enough to actually listen. His mom was doing really well. She had a project in the works that she was thrilled about. As a result, Cove was going to be sticking around in Sunset Bird for the time being. Well, that's good. Things were settled as much as they could ever be. With Cove back once more, you felt at ease. Excuse me. Cove stretched his arms over his head. His eyes on the window and the world beyond. The sun had set while you'd been busy reuniting. I should probably get my stuff and see Dad. Glance over to you with a familiar, expectant look. Want to come with me? You know I do. No, but I'll walk you downstairs. Sure, I can go for a little while. Sure, let's go see Mr. Holden. Cool. Cove began to head to your bedroom door. You followed after him, or you insisted on a piggyback ride? The two of you casually went down the stairs to the ground floor of your house. In all the excitement of Cove's return, you hadn't even remembered the gift you prepared for him when you got back. It would be best to give it to him now before he left your house. Can you wait a little while? I got something for you. Cove tilted his head, intrigued. Really? You nodded with some eagerness, trying to imagine how he'd react when he actually saw it. You brought Cove something special. The gift you chose him had been something you could buy. It was a dolphin-shaped balloon, a fruit bouquet, a new fish for his aquarium, a bracelet for him to wear, a box of strawberry swirl ice cream cups, or an anklet bracelet for you to model for him. Let's get him a fish. You headed back down to your room, grateful Cove hadn't spotted your present before now. The little container that was just the temporary home for his new fish was waiting for you there, just as you left it. Very carefully, you cradled it in your arms and made your journey downstairs. You slowly descended the stairs, adjusting your grasp when the ground floor so you could hold it out for him to admire. Cove gasped, placing a hand over his mouth, and bent down to watch the fish more closely. You could see his expression through the clear container, his eyes wide and adoring. You let Cove take his time admiring the fish in silence. A few moments later, after he'd taken in his fill, he looked up at you with a joyful grin. She'll fit in perfectly with my tank. She looks great. He took the container from you, securing the base first and cautiously lifting it from your hands, before resting it beside him on the counter. He brushed his fingers lightly against the top of the container, the closest he could get to pet his new companion, then turned back to you. Aww. Cove turned to look at the fish, but you thought he was just admiring her again. But the moment stretched out and you wondered if it was something more. Though his face was angled away from you, you caught his eyelashes fluttering as if batting away tears. His throat bobbed as he swallowed bubbling emotions. You knew that Cove could be sentimental. The gift and all the memories and feelings tied up in it seemed to have taken a toll on him. When he began to sniffle, he felt the need to reach out. Cove? I can't. Jimmy, I don't know what to do. He forcibly scrubbed at his eyes, like he was trying to push the tears that threatened to spill back. Oh, Cove, it's okay. Do you need to cry? No. Nevertheless, tears had begun to spill down his cheeks. Even as he wiped them away, more took their place. Thank you. You're welcome. His voice quivered as he spoke. Excuse me. Cove reached out. You gladly took a step forward to meet him. He laid his warm hands against your cheeks and brought his lips to yours. You kissed Cove until the need for air finally went out. Head spinning, you were glad for the security of Cove's hands. Even after your lips parted, Cove's remained close, his hands still framing your face. You're welcome. Don't worry about it. You're such a crybaby. You didn't need words as you quietly accepted his appreciation. Cove let out a steady breath. It was far from removed from the shaky gasp that had accompanied his sniffles. The tears had dried. His eyes were a little red, but open and at peace once again. He smiled, fully recovering from the emotion that had overcome him. You're really seriously too nice to me. You smiled back. You have no right to call anyone else too nice. He brushed his hand against the pale ghost of a scar on his arm. He was at a loss for what to do. The clock ticked away, counting the seconds of silence. Once you had a chance to settle your thoughts, you figured to tell Cole the intriguing news. I have just something to tell you. You're never going to guess who I saw today. You didn't give Cole a chance to reply. There seriously was no way he'd figure it out. Shiloh. Shiloh? Cove repeated his name, his expression blank. From when we were kids. Cove pondered for a moment, then snapped his fingers. Oh, he was the freckly boy from the first summer, right? The one who moved. The guy was named Shiloh, and he looked just like Shiloh from back then. He was even wearing a hat still. But he had no idea who I was and ran off somewhere. Cove frowned. That's, I don't know. Too bad I missed it, though you knew him better than I did. That was definitely true. Not only had Cove known Shiloh for a shorter period of time, but he and Shiloh never quite got along. Not that they were enemies, though. Just kids who were only together because other people knew them. I wonder what Shiloh's up to these days. I don't have no idea. He didn't say much. Oh well. That was everything you had on the new item, so you moved on to the next pickup date. Also, you know the main old neighbors? The ones who always yell at us? He cringed, recalling those particular memories of back in the day. It was not pleasant even for someone as nostalgic as him. Yeah. They're not coming. They didn't rent the condo this summer. Cove's jaw dropped. He didn't blame him. You didn't blame him. The elderly couple had been in institution for as long as you can remember, long predating Cove's arrival. Even now, as a teenager, you found your neck prickling as you walked by their condo, half expecting a scolding for breathing in the wrong direction. Whatever. It was strange to think that was coming to an end. Wow. Cove blinked, clearly struggling with the idea in the same way you had. I didn't see that coming. People being gone, people coming back. It feels like I missed a lot. This has been a busy summer already. Well, you haven't missed the Fireflies. They haven't shown up yet. Well, that's something. We better not get left behind. There's still stuff to do. Exactly. You nodded. The two of you headed out and traced the familiar path you walked. The trip across the road to Cove's house. It seemed that no sooner had the night begun, it was already at an end. The dawn of a new day was set upon you. The next morning, your belly was full of breakfast and you were in a pleasant mood. You hoped the rest of the day followed suit. Later, you were made up with your friends, Cove, Miranda, and Terry, to go into town. It was all on short notice, but that was because everyone was so excited that Cove finally came back home. Having a nice daydream? You blinked, pushing back all your thoughts away and returning to reality. Your mom was watching you with a teasing smile. So, what's on the agenda today? I'm meeting up with some people. Well, I hope you and your friends have fun. Don't get into too much trouble. She winked at you. You both knew your moms wanted you to enjoy every bit of the summer before all the big changes had started. I'll try. But before you go gallivanting around, could you bring the mail in? I'm finishing up the dishes over here. Alright. Thanks very much. Alright, I'm going to stop here because I don't know how much longer this is going to go on. And it's already been a decent chunk, so hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, leave a like. Subscribe to the channel to know when new videos come out. And I'll see you next time when we finish this up and get to see all the moments for this part. But until then, peace out, everyone.